But tonight, I get to do for you one of my favorite stories in the whole world. This story is a classic. Now, Mark Twain says that classics are books that everybody talks about but no one's ever read. This one is not one of those. It's a Christmas story. It's not by Charles Dickens. That one's way too long. It's not by O. Henry, because that one's way too sad. Right? Give to the Magi, breaks my heart every time. This story is by one of the most amazing authors on the planet. This is by Dr. Seuss. I'm going to give you my version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. Everybody say, "Aw." Aww. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas. The whole Christmas season. Humbug. Now please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, Grinchy frown at the warm-lighted windows below in their town, for he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now, hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings. He snarled with a sneer, "Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here." And he growled, with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming, "I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming." For tomorrow he knew all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys and then, oh, the noise. Oh, the noise. Everybody say noise.
Noise.
I mean, that's one thing he hated, the noise. Then, the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast. And they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast.
Feast.
Thank you. They'd feast on Who pudding. And rare Who roast beast. Pew. Which is one thing the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then, they do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. Say, "Aw." They'd stand hand in hand, say, "Aw." And the Who's would start singing. And they'd sing. And they'd sing. And they'd sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, "I must stop this whole thing." Why, for 53 years, I put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Bing! Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. "I know just what to do." And he laughed in his throat. And he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat, and he chuckled and clucked. "What a great Grinchy trick! With this coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick." Do I look like Saint Nick? Yeah, what do you know? "All I need is a reindeer." The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, any in there? No? There was none to be found. Did that stop the Grinch? Let's try that again. Did that stop the Grinch?
No!
The Grinch simply said, "If I can't find the reindeer, I'll make one instead." So he called his dog, Max. And he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn to the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Ho, ho, ho. Then the Grinch said, "Giddy up!" Whoa! And the sleigh started down. toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All the windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. He'll be snoring. When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed as he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Oh, he slid down the chimney. I'd rather take pinch. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once. Ow! For a minute or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace, flew, where the little Who's stockings hung all in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Say no. No. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present. Say no. No. Pumpkins and bicycles. No. Roller skates, drums. No. Checkerboards, tricycles. No. Popcorn and plums. No. And he stuffed them in bags. But the Grinch, very nimbly, stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. Say no. No. He took the Who pudding. No. He took the roast beast. No. You really want this? No. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash, where the Grinch even took the last can of wash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now came the Grinch. I will stuff up the tree. Don't worry, it's just pretend. And he grabbed the tree, and he started to shout when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around quick. He saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou, who was not more than Lou. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus. Why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie. Say no. No. And he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. That's the ticket. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there. Then I'll bring it back here. Okay. And this fib fooled the child. He patted her head. He got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. Punt. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with a cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree out. Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls, he left nothing but hooks and some wire, and the one speck of food that he left in that house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Say no. No. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's houses. Thank you. It was 4:15. All the Who's still in bed. All the Who's in the snooze. Come on, Sonia. When he packed up his sled, say no. No. Packed it up with their presents. No. The ribbons, the wrappings, no. The tags and the tinsel, no. The trimmings, the trappings. No. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumphead. He rode with his load to the tip top, to dump it. Say no. No. Yes. Poo-poo to the Who's. He was graciously humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open. A minute or two. Then the whole done in Whoville will all cry. Help me. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. And he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow, but this sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry. Say merry. Merry. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes and he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any, no really, without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other it came, just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without presents. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Bing. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew three sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he rode with his load through the bright morning light, say hooray! Hooray! And he brought back the toys, say hooray! Hooray! And the food for the feast, say hooray! Hooray! And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to a storyteller. This is called Old Wave Special Effects. And I really appreciate you being here because a storyteller is nothing but a lunatic ranting on a street corner without a cell phone. Without an audience. Remember, every human being is a storyteller because every human being has a story to tell. Our stories are what define us. So tell your stories and make sure someone hears you, not just listens, but hears you. I'm Mark Lewis. Happy holidays.